People are quieting down. That must mean it's time to start. So I'm going to call this meeting of the Joint Hayward City Council, Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency, and Hayward Housing Authority. A lot of people meeting here tonight, but it's the same 7 people, to order. And we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by Councilmember Zermano.
Please stand if you're able. Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is also for the Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency and the Hayward Housing Authority. Member Cermeño. Member Marquez.
Present.
Member Mendel.
Here.
Member Lamden.
Here.
Member Wahab.
Here.
Member Salinas. Mayor and Chair Halliday.
Here.
Thank you.
Now, ask our city attorney, Mr. Lawson, to give us a report on the closed session this evening.
Please refer to the closed session agenda. Closed session started at 6 p.m. The first item, conference with real property negotiators. The council dropped that item and it was not discussed. The second item is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. The council discussed and took no action on that item. The council added to the closed session agenda the pending litigation of AGG versus the City of Hayward. It was added pursuant to the Brown Act, Section 54954.2, subsection B2 of the Government Code, which allows items to be added after the posted agenda, which occurred on Friday. This came to the council's attention yesterday, and it was added to the closed session agenda by motion of Councilmember Zermano. It was seconded by Councilmember Marquez, and the council unanimously adopted the motion to add the item to the closed session agenda. After the discussion, the council took no reportable action. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us to our special presentation this evening, which is for our 2019 Environmental Sustainability Awards. These awards honor businesses, schools, community members for their excellent environmental practices, such as things like participating in recycling, water conservation, energy efficiency programs. And this is part of, I know we're a little bit late in presenting these awards this year. They are really part of our celebration of Earth Day in April, so we try to do it around that time. But really, we really enjoy honoring people who help us achieve our goals for being a green city, and so this is our way of thanking some individuals and some businesses in our community who contribute a lot to that effort, and we like to do that in a public way because we like to encourage everybody to look at what these people are doing and emulate it, and so with that. I'll just say that, the city of Hayward does have strong environmental goals. It was one of the first cities in the Bay Area to adopt a climate action plan, and one of the primary goals of the climate action plan is to enhance the health and sustainability of all who live and work in Hayward. The plan identifies actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, including increasing participation by residents and businesses in the city's recycling and organic services, and the city becoming one of the first cities to establish a zero net energy goal. And we are working to have all city-owned facilities powered by renewable energy by 2025. And we've really made a lot of progress on this goal so far, and I think we're going to achieve it. And we currently produce about 55% of the energy we use and we have more solar photovoltaic facilities currently under construction. Information about our climate action plan and recycling and organic services offered to residents and businesses is on the city website, and staff from our Environmental Services Division is happy to assist you at any time. Check out the website. There's a lot of information there. I was sorry, I believe we had to cancel an event last weekend due to rain that was our giveaway of compost too, but I think that will be rescheduled. If anybody knows when, they might mention it later. But so I really want to congratulate all the winners. I want to say that just a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I had solar panels put on our roof. It's long overdue. There are a lot of reasons for that, but I am proud to be, this does not merit us one of these awards that is being given out tonight, certainly, but I'm just proud that we have joined in helping to, reduce our own carbon imprint, and we're really happily making electricity now ourselves. And so we're going to hear about some things that go a lot further than that I think some people in this room have done. And so I just heartily want to congratulate all the recipients that we're recognizing this evening, and turn this proceeding over to my colleague, Councilmember Al Mendel, who is the chairperson of our Council Sustainability Committee, on which I will say also Council members Marquez and Zermeño serve.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do want to welcome everyone here. This is kind of a fun night for me. And I do want to add a little bit to what the Mayor was saying about Hayward. This is one of the greenest cities in the country. And we can defend that. And as you walk out of the room tonight, I want you to look to the right. There's a trophy case over there, an award case. Most of the awards over there are environmental awards that this city has won, and due to its efforts over the last 10 years for green power, recycling, all kinds of environmental awards. And we've all been a part of that, and we can all be proud of it. And I would like us all to give ourselves a round of applause for that. Do check it out on your way out. It's kind of fun. So tonight, we want to acknowledge several community members, schools, and businesses for their environmental initiatives. I want to thank Kim Huggett of the Hayward Chamber of Commerce, Council members Elisa Marquez, Jillian Buckholtz of the California State University East Bay, Catherine Rolfson of the city's Economic Development Program, and Hugh Murphy of the city's Hazardous Material Program for evaluating the various applications. They were our judges for tonight and did a lot of work to review the various applications. And I want to ask the mayor to come join me down at the podium because she has the fun job tonight of handing out the awards. So first we have our school category, and for 2019, in our awards, it recognizes staff and students from 2 schools that have implemented activities that protect or enhance the environment and increase the environmental awareness of their student community. And I'll ask the folks representing each school, all of you, to come forward as I call your name and I'm describing what you did, and you get to shake the mayor's hand and take a few photos when I finish, okay? That means kids too, all right? You ready? Okay, so first is Cherryland Elementary School. Cherryland... So Cherryland has their 3rd grade students conduct a social justice project every year. And last school year, these students chose to research the effects of styrofoam as their topic. Through their research, the students discovered the environmental problems, health problems, and costs of using styrofoam. As a result, they wanted to have their school replace their lunchtime styrofoam trays with healthier, environmentally friendly alternatives. To make this happen, students conducted various forms of outreach, including peer-to-peer classroom presentations, morning announcements, creating posters, writing to the principal, and presenting, in this room, to the school board. In the end, not only Cherryland, but the entire Hayward Unified School District replaced styrofoam trays with cardboard trays at the start of this school year, providing more environmentally friendly and healthier options to more than 20,000 students every single day. Yeah. Accepting the award on behalf of Cherryland Elementary School is Principal Matthew Clark, as well as several students, teachers, and parents that have contributed to the sustainability efforts. Good job. He's the one. Good job, guys.
Get everybody over here, please, and we'll take a group shot. I promise I won't hold them all.
All right. So, all right, come on back together. Come on, one more photo, I think. Did everybody get theirs? Okay, I'm wrong. They got them. I thought there was a couple more there. We usually have a few moms or dads jumping up to get those. Yes, good job. Okay, so our second school awardee is Fairview Elementary School. So when Fairview Elementary was rebuilt a few years ago, the principal prioritized sustainability throughout the process, including the construction of a new garden and outdoor ecology learning center. These outdoor settings are used to instruct students on sustainable gardening, pollination, composting, and many other environmentally focused topics on a weekly basis. It's not just the school's architecture and infrastructure that's dedicated to sustainability, however. The teachers and staff at Fairview Elementary are committed to educating and fostering environmental stewardship throughout the school. For example, the fifth grade students conducted a litter audit of their campus, where they collected 3,000 pieces of litter and analyzed the data. That must have been fun. Most of it came from single-use plastics, which is true in all of our homes as well. Anyone who's taken out the garbage knows this, right? Then they displayed the information in the hallway of the school to educate the entire campus on plastic pollution and to promote a litter-free campus. Accepting the award on behalf of Fairview Elementary School is teacher Allison Bingham, as well as several students, teachers, and parents that have contributed to the sustainability effort at the school. Please come down. Over there. You're very welcome. Good work. Fourth grade. I'm so sorry. It was the fourth grade students. I messed it up. I said fifth grade. Credit where credit is due. Just keep smiling for a while. Keep smiling. All right, good job, fourth graders. So next we have the residential category of the 2019 Environmental Sustainability Awards, and that recognizes residents who have demonstrated exemplary participation in the city's residential recycling program, energy efficiency programs, and community leadership. Each resident has received a signed letter from Mayor Halliday thanking them for their participation. And each resident will also receive a reusable tote bag with low-flow shower heads and water-saving aerators for the kitchen, bathroom, and other faucets throughout the house. So our winners this year did a great job of implementing their environmental initiatives, and I'll ask you to each come forward as I call your name. First is Anita Cruz. Good job, Anita. Next to be recognized is Amanda Grozniak. And our third and final awardee is Kenneth Woodward. Congratulations. So next we have our presentation of awards to businesses, and I'll ask Kim Huggett, President of the Chamber of Commerce, to come join me at the podium to present those awards. Mr. Huggett.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. You know, this is also truly a competitive situation, so our recipients should really be gratified that city staff who really know this stuff gave all of the nominations a thorough going over to make sure that our recipients are truly worthy of this honor. Thank you, Mayor Halliday and Councilmember Mendel. The Hayward Chamber of Commerce is pleased to be a part of this year's Sustainability Awards, and I'm proud to announce the Business Award winners. Business awards were considered based on a variety of environmental criteria, including energy efficiency, renewable energy, water conservation, recycling, composting, and environmental education. We had to check off all the boxes. I'd like to thank all the businesses that participated in this important program, and now we want to acknowledge those dedicated to environmental stewardship. I'll read a summary of the accomplishments of our recipients, then we'll have them come up and we'll let one of their representatives make some remarks. Our first recipient is Cox Automotive Mannheim, San Francisco Bay. Mannheim is the world's largest used vehicle marketplace, with their location in South Hayward selling over 1,000 cars a week. While repurposing cars for another life is at the core of their business model, they've also prioritized 3 sustainability goals: zero waste by 2024, carbon neutral by 2044, and water neutral by 2044. Mannheim has been working hard to meet their zero waste goals. Currently, they have achieved an 80% diversion rate, diverting 292 tons from the landfill annually. Of that number, 21 tons are diverted through reuse and source reduction, such as donating used tires to playgrounds and boot camps. To reduce paper waste, they've adopted paperless billing and account filing, including on auction days. They even have one employee sort through all of the office trash to maximize recycling and composting before they put waste in the dumpsters. Their environmental education efforts are spearheaded through their Go Green Council, which employee Lisa Simon sits on, and is comprised of representatives of various Cox Enterprise businesses. Mannheim has embraced a culture of sustainability in their offices and here in Hayward. Accepting the award is Greg Beck, Lisa Simon, and Syed Alam.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Syed Alam. I'm the Assistant General Manager at Mannheim San Francisco Bay. We are incredibly honored to receive this award from the City of Hayward. Thank you. While I assist oversee Mannheim San Francisco Bay, our location is part of Mannheim, the leading global provider of used vehicle service and solutions. Our company's mission is to help dealers and commercial customers achieve results by providing them with high-quality physical, digital, and channels, data analysis, financing, transportation, and mobile products and solutions. To make a few more connection for you, Manheim is part of Cox Automotive, the Cox Enterprises division that owns over 25 automotive brands across the globe, including Auto Trader and Kelley Blue Book. One thing that I love about being part of Cox Automotive and the broader Cox family is that even after 120 years, it is still a family-owned company, a private company that continues to invest in its business and causes that we believe in. Since our parent company founded Cox Conserve over 10 years ago and set goals in sending zero waste to landfill by 2024 and being water/carbon neutral by 2044, our team at Manheim San Francisco Bay is fully committed to meet this goal. We are committed to finding more ways to be good towards the environmental and impactful citizen of Hayward. So thank you again, the City of Hayward, for this recognition, as well as for your partnership over the years and continued leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. As an unpaid commercial announcement, I bought the car that I drove in here tonight from Manheim, and I bought it online. Almost a terrifying concept, but you know what? It was not so bad. So why not buy everything online, right? But I shopped Hayward, Mr. Zermania. I used our local company. So our next recipient is EKC Technology, a subsidiary of DuPont Electronics and Imaging that manufactures and distributes patented proprietary chemicals for wafer cleaning and surface preparations. EKC strives to be socially responsible company in all aspects of operation, including environmental protection and the ethical and professional treatment of its employees. They received the ISO Environmental Management System certification in 2004 and were most recently recertified in January 2019. By implementing environmental management systems, EKC has identified ways they can reduce water usage in their production processes. As a result, EKC reduced its water use by 10% from 2017 to 2018, despite a record production volume increase of 15%. EKC has also been active in the community, successfully petitioning to improve AC Transit bus service to their area of Hayward, allowing employees to have the option to take public transit to and from work. And last year they had 2 employees in Leadership Hayward, so very much engaged in the life of our community. EKC is committed to protecting the environment and people and to continually improve their management systems to enhance safety, health, and environmental performance. Accepting the award is John Zamowski and Emmy Brown. It's just a coincidence that all of our winners tonight are exceptionally photogenic.
Thanks,
Please, a few words.
So, first off, I want to thank the Hayward City of Hayward for sponsoring these awards and for the talented team that came out to evaluate our site. It's increasingly important that we're fostering environmental stewardship in the community, and I really appreciate the way that the community's incentivizing that practice and recognizing it. Secondly, I'd like to thank Emmy for her work at the site and for the team at the site who's been working on many engineering improvements throughout our facility that have allowed us to achieve this award. And thank you, Kim, for your partnership, both with the city and the chamber, to foster sustainable practices in our community. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say is One of the things that we've noticed as we work through the changes that were described here is that as our waste reduced, our business became better and more sustainable as well. The correlation between strong business performance and environmental performance was notable in our business and made a huge impact for us. So again, thank you to all for sponsoring the award and for the recognition.
And if you are wondering, wafer cleaning has nothing to do with cookies. John and Emmy can explain that to you. Our next recipient is Life Chiropractic College West, whose mission is to advance chiropractic care through world-class education, clinical excellence, research, and scholarly activity in a climate of what they call love and science. Life West is taking care of your body. For Life West, taking care of your body also means taking care of the environment, which led it to prioritize earning recertification as an Alameda County green business. In Life West's pursuit of creating one of the best environment for learning, they have created a sustainability council and an air quality council. One outcome of these councils was the idea to build their own algae air scrubbers, known as O2D2s, to increase air quality in their classrooms. Each O2D2 reduces 227 pounds of carbon dioxide a year, providing a healthier environment for their students to thrive. Life West also promotes a zero-waste lifestyle. The most recent school year, each student was gifted with Life West's reusable utensil set. They also have zero-waste items such as reusable straws and water bottles featured prominently in their bookstore right alongside their zero-waste tea bar. To educate the campus on how to sort properly, trash angels from the student council monitor sorting stations at the beginning of the school year, ready to help new students learn what goes where. Life West has also replaced all external lighting with LEDs, reducing their energy bill by 10%, and were one of the first organizations to agree to be part of the city's Recycled Water Project. Accepting the award is Dr. Anatole Bogatsky, Dr. Carrie Duggins, Michael Baldwin, Kathy Medema, and Andrew Champagne.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Halliday, council members, and I want to thank all the city employees whose expertise and resources and problem solving have helped us so much in our green business certification and then in the recertification process, which was a whole lot harder than we thought it was going to be. And I want to thank the Representative Carolina Herrera for the Alameda County Green Business Program. It's an incredible opportunity for businesses to have a framework, have deadlines, and have support to actually achieve green business certification. And it made all the difference for us. It was extremely helpful. For our college, I want to thank our college presidents, Dr. Klum, Dr. Kelly, and Dr. Oberstein, all of whom have provided the leadership that has been crucial in making any of this happen. And here with us tonight, our EVP, Dr. Anatole Bogatsky, who's in charge of follow-up and follow-through, not to mention finding the money when we need it. And our campus operations manager, Michael Baldwin. He and his excellent staff did all the hard work, and an incredible problem solver, really creative mind. He is the person who's built the O2D2 units that we had the picture of that are on our campus. And I want to thank the many staff, faculty, and dozens of students who have all played a crucial role in making this happen. We share with the City of Hayward that we are hoping to inspire others so that each of us know that we have a role to play in the stewardship of our planet. And so thank you very much.
If you want to see what an actual trash angel looks like, you have to go to the campus, and they love guests there, so feel free to drop in and say, "Where's the trash angels?" Our next recipient is St. Rose Hospital, whose mission is to provide quality health care to their community with respect, compassion, and professionalism. Since opening in 1962, St. Rose has made many environmental adjustments to the campus to promote a green lifestyle. Currently, St. Rose is piloting many different waste reduction programs on site, including working with an organization to reduce medical-related waste by reprocessing a select number of supplies that would otherwise be single-use. Nurses and doctors place these supplies in special bins once they are used, and then they are re-sterilized, repackaged, and available for use again. St. Rose also has removed all solo garbage bags or bins and paired them with recycling and started sorting organics in the kitchen. In doing so, St. Rose was able to reduce the size of their trash compactor and send less trash to the landfill. St. Rose has retrofitted all the lighting in the parking areas and is currently working on retrofitting the hospital floors with LED lights. They also have installed an electric vehicle charging station for employees, patients, and guests. Accepting the award is CEO Aman Duper and Michael Cobb and Shoni Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. I was when I came into this forum today, I was encouraged to start with a joke. Unfortunately, I don't have any jokes, but I would love to share a small, brief history of St. Rose. The environmental goal at St. Rose started about 6 years ago, and it all started with a simple effort to reduce cost. We started out by reducing the paper usage in the hospital by bringing everything digital, and then it slowly worked our way up to going completely paperless in the hospital. From there on, it went on with physicians buying electric cars and being more environmental conscious, which led to a contribution coming from our medical staff to be able to put electric car stations. With all being said, as a CEO of the hospital, thank you for giving this recognition to the St. Rose Hospital. But I must recognize the people behind the scenes. Oftentimes, I get the criticism for painting the building white and coming out with all the different ideas that I dream of, and then the staff in the morning executes them. But the person who actually executes for me is Shani Davis. This environmental award primarily is a credit to her effort for implementation of so many different processes that we do in the building. As you are aware, I am involved in many decision makings, but it's really the team who makes it happen. And it would not be possible without the team at St. Rose and without the project coordinator that we have here. So I thank the city, I thank the team of St. Rose, I thank Shani and everyone involved in the process for making it happen. Thank you.
Shani, that means you can take the rest of the week off, okay? So that if she's not in tomorrow, you'll know why. Our final recipient is Eden Issei Terrace, a part of Eden Housing, and it's an apartment complex with 100 units for seniors. While Eden Issei Terrace has installed solar panels, updated lighting to LED, and provides garden plots to residents, it's the waste reduction system that is truly impressive. Kenneth Woodward, Eden Issei's maintenance manager, brought the waste reduction system to the facility. He worked with waste management to design custom multilingual signage to post above trash and compost and recycling bins around the facility, all in an effort to make waste management more accessible to all residents. Ken also collects bottles and cans from the property to fund environmental education parties. There is a specially marked bin in the lobby, but he also sorts through what the residents put in the mixed recycling bins and pulls out additional bottles and cans. Ken then takes all the bottles and cans and redeems them for their CRV value. With the money he earns, he hosts parties. These parties are educational, focusing on different themes, including how to sort your waste properly and water conservation. He provides pizza and gift card prizes to engage the residents and encourage them to continue to sort properly. They have been a hit with residents and increased recycling efforts. Eden Estate Terrace has set an environmental education and recycling standard for all multifamily dwellings to strive for. Accepting the award is Tom White, Kenneth Woodward, Salman Hassan, Daniela Ogden, Farishta Barakzai, and Winter Chaslow.
Go ahead, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay. My name is Tom White. I'm the Energy and Sustainability Manager at Eden Housing, and I want to thank the City Council and Mayor for acknowledging Eden's environmental efforts and our commitment to sustainability. And I'm speaking on behalf of the staff. For 50 years, Eden has demonstrated that safe, decent, affordable homes provide a platform for families to succeed. And we're proud to be a partner with the City of Hayward and we're in serving a diverse population of low-income residents from all cultures and backgrounds. This award really recognizes the initiatives of the staff of Eden Issei, including Ken Woodward and the staff who are supporting him. Eden Issei is a community of 100 senior households on Fagundes Court in Hayward, and Ken really has been outstanding in leadership of the effort to increase our recycling effort and to increase our waste diversion. He's engaged with a diverse group of residents in building a more sustainable community. And I want to thank Ken and the staff at Eden Issei for being such effective cheerleaders and stewards for our environment. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you to the council.
I want to say, like the last guy that was up here, it's a team effort. Many thanks to my manager, Solomon and Farista. One person who is not here is a big help. I would not be able to do a lot of what I do without our resident services person, who was Grace. We're missing her tonight. I really wish she was here. There's actually another member that actually helps us and has been there whenever I called him and needed him, and he actually spoke at our last one. Our other team member is Mark Salinas. Stand up. All right. Yeah. He's actually come to my event and spoke, and he always comes to our NNO there, and he's been a great help to our property. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Halliday. Thank you, Mr. Huggett. One final thought before we finish up tonight. 2 years ago, this city was part of forming East Bay Community Energy. It's a new nonprofit power provider here in Alameda County. And it's providing power to all of your homes and businesses, at least the vast majority in Hayward, something like 95%. And the default product in Hayward is 100% greenhouse gas free. No coal, no nuclear, no natural gas. It's coming from renewables. It's coming from large hydro, solar, and wind. So when you go home tonight or when you go to work tomorrow and you turn on the lights, if your business or your home is in Hayward or most places in Alameda County, you will not be making climate change worse, because we're part of a community that's doing what I wish more communities around the state and around the country would do. And we're saving our businesses and residents $5 million a year while doing it. So as Mr. Samowski said, it doesn't have to cost money. You know, doing what's right for the environment can do right by the bottom line as well. So with that, thank you all. Congratulations to everyone for participating in the 2019 Environmental Sustainability Awards.
Thank you. We'll just take a minute here while the people seem to be leaving, so we'll take a little 2-minute recess here. Okay, that brings us to a much emptier room, and but that was really good, and I do want to congratulate everybody for doing their part. Every bit counts, and these people stepped up big time, but all of us can play a role in all aspects of, reducing our energy consumption, reducing our water consumption, reducing our waste that we generate, reducing the amount we use, and putting the stuff we have to throw away into the right place. So all of that counts, and I'm glad that we're a city that's really working on doing that. We're going to move on to public comments now. This is your opportunity to comment on any items that are not otherwise on our agenda. And I have a few cards, and if you do want to speak and haven't given a card to the city clerk, please come up and do so. Our first speaker is David Watley. And before he comes up, I do want to say, it's a little late probably, we do have Spanish translation services, of course, as we always do tonight. So see this fine lady up here to the side if you need that. So David Watley, are you, yes, okay, please come forward.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I want to congratulate all of the community members who received Environmental Sustainability Awards this evening, and I think I would be remiss not to acknowledge that in the parking lot of the city hall this evening, I kind of noticed that Councilor Mandel and Councilor Zermenio have a pair of matching Priuses parked next to each other. So, and then you know what? I looked over to the left, and then I saw that Mayor Holliday has the same thing, and then I looked what's in the middle. Councilor Marquez, I feel like the universe may be telling you this evening, and you might need to pay a visit to Mannheim Automotive. Well, they're gone now, but I think you guys have their contact info. And I think Councilor Wahab had some kind of, yeah, something like that too. So what about you, Councilor Lamnin and Salinas?
They walk.
So anyhow, it's such a pleasure to be here this evening, and I actually just wanted to take a brief moment to talk about the strike that's happening in New Haven Unified. As we know, that is a school district that is comprised primarily of Union City schools, but we do know also that there is a City of Hayward school located within the district, Hillview Crest, located in Fairway Park. And it's actually a special school for me. I actually attended the school for a couple years, went to about 3 different elementary schools, and that was one of them. And so I'm here to speak in support of the teachers that are striking. I think that we as a community, and certainly within the Fairway Park area, I have my sister and brother-in-law and live there, and they have school-age children. We need to do more. In the city of Hayward, I'm asking if you would consider doing more to support teachers. I know that Councilor Zermenio is an educator, and that there are many supporters of education on the dais, so I would certainly ask that you perhaps make an inquiry with staff as to what can be done to support the residents of Fairway Park better and their local public school. I know I only have 30 more seconds, but I'm looking at some statistics, some data from CASA-TEP scores for Hillview Crest. 3rd grade, 45%, 55% standard not met in math and English. 4th grade, 52%, 47% standard not met. 5th grade, 44% and 65% standard not met. So I would like to follow up with staff on this, and I will follow up with them and let you guys know what I hear. Have a great evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Wynn Grishkin.
Last time I came here, I was asking the mayor and the city manager to help get the fire alarm in the leadership school. And the city manager claimed that that wasn't her responsibility, that it was up to the school district. And the next day, they had a shooter threat at Hayward High. And it appalls me that this city council's manager would even say something like that, because you know something, your city codes it's law. And all of these people that are business owners, they know if their alarms go out, they have to have a fire watch immediately until these fire alarms are fixed in any building. And my friend was a manager of property in over there in the industrial area, and she said, I asked her, I said, what happened if the fire alarms went out? She said, we had to get a security company to do a fire watch immediately until they were fixed. And your city manager didn't think this was important after 2.5 months. So I made 18 phone calls for 1 week. I called everybody. And I could not believe this, but after the shooter threat, I called up the police department and I said, you've got a contract with the school. Aren't you supposed to protect the schools too? I said, is there any way to enforce the city codes to demand that that fire alarm be fixed? And it was kind of funny because then Thursday, the next day, the school district, you know, they finally figured they were going to do this, and the principal of the school called me at 3:45 in the afternoon and said they got their fire watch. They didn't say they got their bells fixed, but they got the fire watch. And the fire department is supposed to teach the people at the leadership school how to do this fire watch, but the city manager didn't think that she should advise the firemen to do that. Now, something's wrong here. I mean, we're in a lawless society, and you don't feel this is a threat to our communities, to our homes, to our children. And anybody that doesn't think a fire alarm's important, maybe you should reduce her pay. This was outrageous what she said. And then to have something like this, and she said, we don't want to shut a school down because we don't want any child missing a day of school, but if there's a school shooter and your kid gets killed, you're going to be missing more than a day. And as far as the school insurance, if you do not comply with what you're supposed to do and have those alarms working, you're not insured. So if that school burned down and some child got hurt, that parent would own the school district. If some kid got shot and there's no way to alarm everybody, or school lockdown or Columbine locks or something, and the city manager didn't feel that this was important to take out because it was the school district's responsibility, you're a piece of work, man. Anyway, this is the guy's number. If there's any school, and what I found out, there's schools all over this state that don't have the fire alarms working. So he wants to go to the governor to get something done about this. And this should never happen in this city, ever. And I can't believe that a city manager would say what she said, and you should check out the last city council because it's all recorded. And when you hear what she said, it'll blow your mind. But you know something? We live in a city that we're all responsible for these children, and she should be too.
Your time is up. Our next speaker is Romeo Cruz. Mr. Cruz? Okay. Amanda Grosiak, one of our award winners this evening.
So I just wanted to, my name is Amanda, as you guys know. I wanted to say a little thank you for the award that I was presented with, but more so, thank you for listening to my concerns as a constituent. I've, ever since the 2016 election, been extremely on edge, and I finally found an outlet for some of my anxiety, and I just wanted to say thank you for putting pen to paper on certain topics that I bring up and actually doing something about it. And I understand, as Councilmember Mendel said, that we're moving in a direction of 100% clean energy for the city, and I really applaud that effort on all of you. And I do really want to have Hayward be a kind of beacon of hope that it has been for me to the rest of the city and the rest of the country in this really scary time. So that's why I'm also asking tonight to maybe put into writing some legislation, pass a resolution that you will go 100% clean energy, renewable by a certain date, and we can have Hayward lead the fight. In California, right now, the state has a goal to go 100% clean energy by 2045, and I think we can send a clear message to the rest of the world in this really scary time that we're a leader and beat that goal. I've provided a sample resolution from the Sierra Club. Their 100% renewable energy campaign, and I hope that you take this issue up. And thank you so much for helping me and the rest of the city through the really hard time we're going through politically.
Thank you, and I think that you're right. Action is the best way to get over that discomfort we're all feeling right now. And I think that you're going to be very pleased. I'm going to ask Councilmember Mendel, the chair of our Sustainability Committee, to comment on your request.
Yes, and I do thank you for your efforts thus far. They have been helpful, and as I've said before, it does move us, right? On the request you made tonight, we're already there. So a year and a half ago, I put forward a proposal to set a date certain by which all of Hayward's municipal operations would be powered by 100% on-site renewables. So that means that we're not importing power from anywhere, we're producing it on-site. We're at 55% right now. We have additional solar panels going in later this year that'll get us up to around 80%. And we've set the goal by 2024 of being 100% on-site renewables. The new library across the street has solar panels on its roof, and the parking garage across the way is part of that. But for the community as a whole, Hayward, by joining East Bay Community Energy and by picking the greenest, affordable option for all of our residents as a default, 80% of the homes in Hayward are receiving 100% greenhouse gas-free electricity. Not 100% renewable, 100% greenhouse gas-free, right? Because hydro is not considered a greenhouse, it's not considered a renewable, but it's not causing global warming, right? So it's part of the solution. And another 20% are receiving energy that's 85% greenhouse gas-free. That is huge. And we're doing it while saving money for our residences and businesses. So we're there, and I'm working as a board member on EBCE to get all of Alameda County there to 100% greenhouse gas free and then 100% renewable by a date certain. And we haven't set the date yet, but it's coming soon, and we're going to be talking about it a bit this year for the entire county. So I encourage you to pay attention to that conversation as it goes forward.
My understanding was you weren't on the map for the Sierra Club for the whole country.
Well, we'll have to talk to the Sierra Club and give them better data.
So yes, thank you for encouraging us in this direction and speaking, and I do thank the Sierra Club for its leadership in this area as well, so thanks. And finally, the last card I have is from Charlie Peters, another real strong advocate for good environmental policy.
Yes, Madam Mayor, City Council, my name is Charlie Peters, Clean Air Performance Professionals of Coalition of Motors. I noted this morning that I found a interesting bit of information that we now, as of today, have a company providing autonomous self-driving truck service moving mail from Arizona to Texas. That's 1,000 miles one way, and this is designed to be autonomous self-driving truck, eliminating employees for the post office. Not for the post office, excuse me, delivering mail, the U.S. mail. Now, that starts to become more interesting when you dig back into it and figure out that the company is owned by China. The largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the world is BYD, who provides the bus service for Stanford University, a Chinese company, the largest provider of electric vehicles on the planet. Close behind them, coming hard, is Volkswagen, who wishes to take over all of that business from everybody. I think that we can do something like do a pilot study of demonstration to what can happen when we make the use of ethanol voluntary. I have a document here today saying that the efforts to control that and increase and not provide an option of getting a waiver for California is being mitigated in court as we speak. We very much petition you to take a look at this. We think that this can result in a significant reduction in the price of gasoline, a significant increase in the amount of credits can be applied from reduction in carbon that can result in fixing all the roads for free. We think that can put spendable thousands of dollars per family in the pockets of the people of the state of California within a year. We think that's a goal that can affect climate change and the businesses locally. We think that's very important for you to consider. We'd appreciate anything you could do to further look into this because we think it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I have no further requests to speak. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing no one, we'll close public comments and move on to our consent calendar this evening. Items 1 through 8. I do have a request from Council Member Mendel to pull item number 2 from the list. Are there any other requests to pull items?
I'll move 1 and 3 through 8.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Mendel, seconded by Councilmember Marquez, item 1 and items 3 through 8. Is there anyone opposed to approving those items? No. And they are passed unanimously. Item number 2, which is Hayward Boulevard Safety Improvements Feasibility Study. I will call on Councilmember Mendel.
Yeah, and I had a question to staff about this, and in the written responses, staff indicated that this was coming to the Infrastructure Committee next week. And so with that in mind, maybe we could pull it for tonight and have it brought back on June 4th after the Infrastructure Committee has had a chance to dig in a little more detail.
Okay, and Madam City Manager?
Perfectly fine with staff.
Okay.
I appreciate
so
that.
If no other council members object to that, we will move item number 2 to a future agenda after the council.
To June 4th.
Oh, I'm sorry, date certain June 4th, to allow the Council Infrastructure Committee time to look at it. Okay, thank you. So we will just move on now to item number 9, which is our public hearing on the GAN appropriations limit for fiscal year 2020, and we will hear from Finance Director Clausen.
I'll be briefer than usual, which is saying something. So every year we adopt the GAN appropriations limit. Essentially, back in '79, voters approved State Proposition 4, limiting the appropriations that a government agency could levy on its constituents. It was then that they came up with this crazy formula to limit the amount. Thankfully for the city of Hayward, we haven't come close to hitting the threshold. While I would love to have those revenues, it would create a new problem. Not a bad one to have necessarily, but mostly towns that are developing rapidly or have low residents in their areas have the problem of hitting that limit. This year, the city's appropriations limit is $329,169,966. We project that the appropriations that are subject to the limit are much lower than that at $133,271,670. That's essentially made up mostly of the taxes that the city collects. We're hoping that you guys see fit in adopting the appropriations limit this evening. That's all I've got on that.
All right, thank you. We passed the GAN test again, is I guess a way of putting it. I will, are there any council questions about this? Okay, I'll open public comment on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding the GAN appropriations limit? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. Entertain a motion. Moved by Councilmember Lamnon.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Mendel. On the motion. And the motion passes with 7 aye votes. We'll now move on to item number 10. Rather big item. Again, we'll hear from Finance Director Clausen on this is our public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2020 operating budget for the City of Hayward, the Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency, and the Hayward Housing Authority, and fiscal year 2020 capital improvement program budget, and approval of the fiscal year 2020 operating budget and appropriations for fiscal year 2020, approval of the fiscal year 2020 capital improvement program budget and appropriations, approval of the Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency budget, and approval of the Housing Authority budget. Are you ready for all that? That probably took longer than the staff report is going to take. No, probably not, but.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we are happily bringing together the operating and CIP budgets for both the city and all of the agencies that the mayor mentioned for a public hearing. I will not go into great detail this evening on sort of the line-by-line discussion that we've had in some of the other work sessions. Just to kind of remind council and for the public, the process that we've gone through, on April 12th, council was provided with the operating budget. On April 27th, we had the first budget work session for the operating budget. On May 14th, we had a follow-up budget work session, and then tonight we're having the public hearing. There's been numerous public meetings that are not listed here by council committees that the public was certainly welcome to come and ask questions. There weren't very many, but we did have a few. The ask of council this evening is to hold the public hearing for all of the mentioned the operating budgets for the City of Hayward, the successor agency, the Housing Authority, as well as for the Capital Improvement Program budget, which I have Director O'Mary here with me to answer any questions that you might have on that. We'd also like to ask that if there are, we're able to answer all of the questions, that council consider adopting the budgets this evening as well. So a quick overview of the expenditures and appropriations that we're asking for this evening. The general fund, which we spent the majority of our time discussing, we're asking for appropriations of $172 million this year, an increase over the previous year. Total city funds, we're asking for an appropriation of $346 million, almost $347 million. Again, an increase over last year. The majority of this increase, not in the general fund, is related to projects and water purchases. The agency funds, we're all fairly aware of what goes on with those. The successor agency is governed by the ROPS, and the Housing Authority Fund we spend other time talking about, so I won't get into it too much here. The total city operating budget that we're requesting appropriation and authorization for is $352 million approximately. We're also asking that council approve the total CIP budget for fiscal year 2020 of $98 million and change. The impact on the general fund 5-year plan, I know when we originally proposed, we were looking at a use of about $878 million, making sure you guys are awake, 878,000 of general fund reserves. Through a few adjustments, we noted most of them in the staff report. We are now projecting an increase to reserves of about 336,000 in fiscal year 2020. I've stated, I think here and to the committee, that right in that sweet spot is kind of what I consider breaking even for the city. An organization our size with a budget this size, that's really kind of right there. So it's a testament to the strong policy guidance that we've had, certainly a testament to the voters of Hayward belief in city council and staff in approving the revenue measure and increasing the city's real property transfer tax, which has made our budget, the city's fiscal situation much improved, much improved. The CIP overview, we're looking at projects, the expenditures total by category, and I won't go through each one, of about $147.8 million. You may remember 3 slides ago, I said it was $98 million. The difference there is carry forwards from previous years, and so this is total project cost on those. The funding by source is laid out in a few different areas. The big ones, certainly enterprise funds. We know that's a big part of their operations, is maintaining their capital, improving their production. We've also got grants and Measure C funding the other big pieces, and sort of a mixture of other areas. Noting that the general fund's contribution and internal service fund contribution towards the funding the CIP is about 4%. With that, my presentation is over. I know that there's some questions on a couple of positions that are included in the staff report. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have on it. Our Director of Maintenance Services isn't here, but we have been in constant contact, I assure you, and I have some notes from him, so happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
I think you've said it all, and I don't see that. There they come. Okay. Council Member Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just thank you, Dustin, for all the great work. I really appreciate. I think each year this process gets better and better, and the Saturday work session is very productive. And for those of you that are interested, you can go back and view that on our website. The video is there. I just wanted to follow up on a couple things that I brought up at that work session. Before this is officially adopted, I just wanted to check in with staff and make sure that we did a word search in the budget document and that we're using residents or community members instead of citizens. Just wanted to ensure that that occurs. And then also want to be clear that we had some strong advocacy for filling maintenance positions to mainly deal with graffiti, illegal dumping, and those two positions are being recommended by the entire council, but that's coming specifically out of Measure C money because it's more closely aligned with what the voters wanted on that ballot measure. Is that accurate?
So there was actually, that's one of the questions I think that had been posed on the Council of Questions and Answers, was some confusion around whether it was 2 positions or 4 positions. And so if the council wants to sort of have a discussion, we can provide some additional information about that. But we staff basically would recommend the 2 positions but funded through Measure C. But again, the council, we didn't receive very clear direction on whether it was 2 or 4.
But I'm pretty sure what was presented to us at the work session was 2.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then when we came back to council and we had the options, option 3 had an additional 2, and there was confusion about whether those additional 2 got support from the full council. Would you like to hear from I can virtually talk to you from our department director. So with the 2 additional groundskeepers, we can increase frequencies on the existing list of our 50 top hotspots, the bulk of which are in South Hayward and the Jackson corridor, and we would add a few select areas in other areas of town. Adding 4 positions would allow us to increase frequencies not only on hotspots, but also allow the addition of all city medians and thoroughfares in the weekly litter removal program. Those areas are now currently only addressed for litter removal when normal landscape maintenance takes place instead of weekly.
Okay, so are we all going to have to weigh in on that tonight, or is it included in terms of the projections?
Go ahead.
What's currently included are the 4 positions. And so we can adopt with the 4 positions. We can also make an amendment this evening to change it to 2.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait for discussion. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Mendel.
So you answered my question, so I'm going to save my comments for the next section.
Okay, Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you. I had one additional question, which was the management analyst position. I think did I read correctly that is in the proposal?
For the homeless coordinator? It's not.
It's not. Okay. So I could have sworn I saw. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Zermeño.
My machine is not working. My apologies. Thank you, Mayor. Just to be clear, then, this proposed has 4 M&O positions, because at one time it was just 2, but now it's 4. So that's a yes?
Included in the Measure C budget was included in the staff report are 4 FTEs, 1 groundskeeper 2 and 3 groundskeeper 1s.
And that's out of Measure C funds?
Correct.
No. Yes. Only half of it is.
No. We went Measure C.
Okay.
So let's see, a couple of months ago or a month ago, we went from we had a negative 800,000. Now we have a positive 300. How difficult was that? That's in a month's time, you know? Did you sleep, you know, just curiosity?
It took work 24 hours around the clock, leaving no stone unturned.
That's with the help of Ms. Gonzalez over there. I
Of
imagine.
course. Of
Okay,
course.
that's, I think this is the first, in my 11 years, I think it's my first balanced budget, I think. I'm trying to remember.
We've always balanced the budget. This is
Well,
maybe the first balanced budget without the use of reserves.
Yes, the first one.
Correct,
without
I
the-
think, maybe
I'm
not.
trying to
It's hard to
remember-
know. We'd have to go back and double check
Yeah.
that
I don't think
statistic.
that's quite correct,
I
but
don't think it is.
I'm trying to remember, I can't.
this may be the first year where we have a number of, where we're looking at increasing reserves rather than breaking even.
All right. I miss a slide of the little arrows going up the hill, so maybe you can include it next year. Thank you. Good job.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think we have proposed use of reserves in years past, and in a number of those years, we haven't had to use them. And so if the that trend continues, we'll have some extra money to spend at the end of the year to add to our reserves, and we do have policies about that kind of money. But I wanted to ask about and staff did answer this question too in the budget, but we had as one of our financial policies that we had established is the use of the real property transfer tax funds, which is a volatile revenue source. It goes up and down with, well, the cost of housing, but also the number of houses sold, and and sometimes big properties transferring in one year, and we really can't estimate that or project it as well as we can project some other revenues. So we established a policy saying that there was going to be a baseline that we would consider for use in the general fund as projected revenue, and that anything above that would be considered one-time funds if revenues at the end of the year came, and that amount was 5.5, and it is now 10.5, I believe, is that right? Yeah, 10.5. And I just wondered and I thought, I don't remember the council discussing that, so I just wondered how staff had come to that conclusion.
Yeah, we have not had the discussion. My apologies. I should have brought it last week when we had the other policy discussion. The way that I arrived at that number was simply taking the difference between what the old real property transfer tax rate is in comparison to the new real property transfer tax rate of it used to be $450 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. Now it's $850 per 1,000 of assessed valuation, and then multiplying that factor by the old. I hope you can stay with me here. By the old threshold of 5.5 million, so it would be 5.5 million times 1.9, and that's what got us to the 10.5.
I just don't know why I couldn't just see that, myself, but thank you for explaining it. And Councilmember Zermeño, you had another question?
We're working on the system here, so I think we got it.
Oh, you fixed your system, and yes, your name showed up. Okay, but you don't have a question, huh? Okay. So you can see if it works you can. Okay. So with that, I don't see any other questions from council right now. So we'll open public comment on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this item? I don't have any cards. And I'll come forward at once. All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment and entertain council comments and hopefully a motion. And Councilmember Zermeño?
I'm very happy because I don't see any red on the budget to move on the budget. Let's see. So I move in the budget, and then there's also a CIP, and there's also the housing. There are only three, correct?
There's
a
whole slew of documents.
There's one more. Okay.
You could just move the staff recommendation. I don't think we made any
Instead of
changes.
enumerating them all, so I moved the entire staff presentation.
Okay, the staff recommendation on approval of the budget is moved by Councilmember Zermeño, seconded by Councilmember Marquez. And Councilmember Marquez, did you want to speak?
I do. May I ask one more question before I make my comments? I apologize. I meant to ask this earlier. When we approved the budget for Community Services Commission and the CDBG block grants, there was a recommendation to increase $4,000 to the arts. Was that captured? Because one of the exhibits, it still shows the $86,000. So I just want to make sure that that indeed was accurately captured.
So it is accurately captured. The exhibit was incorrect, and with council's action last week, there's no need to change anything.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
And to that point, it might be just helpful to clarify that the council did not include the additional $100,000 for social services funding, so maybe make that as part of the motion so that we just have that clear, so we can make sure that all of the resolutions are clear. So if that's okay.
So the motion will include that it includes the additional $4,000 for the arts that council approved last week, and it does not include the $100,000 increase in social service funding that had been discussed as part of the budget. I hope we can do that sometime soon.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make my comments. So I obviously, in support of this, like I mentioned earlier, really appreciate staff's diligence. It took a lot of work to get to this point. Not just staff's, but our employee groups, all of our labor groups have really stepped up with their negotiated agreements in this last year. There's been more cost sharing than ever before, so this budget would not be possible without their support and being true partners and being able to get to this level. And then aside from that, the successful passage of Measure T, which was I could speak as a volunteer on that campaign, was extremely challenging, but luckily our voters were able to read the content, and really, to me, it was a sign of the city is doing good work. There's still a lot more to be done, but as long as we continue to be responsive to the public in the different neighborhoods, I think we'll continue to have that support. So I'm excited to adopt this budget, and congratulations to everyone who made it possible, and to all my colleagues for all their great questions. And I think all the key positions that we're adding, they're truly going to make a positive impact on our community. So thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Lamnon.
So I thought council consensus was 2 groundskeepers from Measure C, not 4. But the proposal as it is tonight is 4. So I'm looking at the maker and the second for what is it you are motioning for? Is it 2? It's 4. So you know that it's 4. Okay.
Because it was
4 are currently included, so if they're
Right.
going based on what is in the resolution and the staff recommendation, it's the 4 positions in Measure C.
But the staff recommendation was 2.
Originally, but then we incorporated the additional 2 based on the feedback at last week's work session. So we are comfortable with either, and so if the council wants to clarify that, that's fine, and that's yes. So, and I think I expressed the different service levels as a result.
Right. So I'm seeing, so first I wanted to clarify to make sure what the maker, and the second is I'm seeing you say 4. My intention when we did this was to approve 2, not 2 additional. So
I think, as you explained it, the two of them were in the original, were always in the initially proposed budget, and then in the options, there was an option for an additional.
Right,
and that additional to the additional 2.
Right, and that got confused at one point, and some people probably knew that. I know I was only ever meaning 2, not 4. So I'm still, we have the funds right now, and so it's tempting to want to get those areas clear. I know that's a community priority. I'm just concerned about the ongoing expense of that, given that we also have some capital projects that are still needed and would like to see Measure C prioritized for those. I'm okay with 2 more. I'm having challenges with 4.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to comment? Councilmember Mendel?
So I'm in kind of a similar place as Councilmember Lamnon. It had been my understanding that we were approving 2 additional staff, not 4, or recommending 2 additional staff, not 4. So a little miscommunication there. It wasn't just you. I could probably live with it either way. The $336,000 end of the year surplus includes the 4 positions because they're in Measure C anyway, so it wouldn't show up as on that.
Yeah, it's not related to the $336,000 surplus.
Right, because it's coming out of Measure C. Okay, well, I thought we were approving 2, not 4, but I guess I could maybe go along with that. We'll see how other people feel. But I do want to comment on one thing that I know I've said this once or twice, but it's worth repeating. So we are within a stone's throw of a balanced budget as far as the eye can see. We're one chunk of one-time money to fund the OPEB liability away from small but continuing surpluses as far as the eye can see, $1 to $3 million a year surplus, if we could fully fund the OPEB out of one-time money. And I keep saying this because I keep wanting to lay that down as a marker for us to finish this work. We've been doing this since before I came on council, trying to get to a balanced budget that was not just balanced this year, which we've done every year, but balanced, in the out years as well. We are so close. So I hope we will all stay focused on that and finish this so that we don't have to worry about, finishing it next year or the year after or the year after. And I do want to thank staff for that as well. You acknowledge council's role, but staff has a role as well. The city manager, the finance director, the executive team. You've held the budget in check just as we have, come forward with proposals that were restrained, that did not ask for as many positions as I know you often needed, and I appreciate that of every department director as well as the city manager and the finance director. So you deserve your kudos as part of this multi-year effort as well, and I feel it. We're so close. So
About $69 million close, but
yes.
But yeah, no,
It used to be $30 million a year, and now it's down to 5 to 7. We're almost there.
all right, Councilmember Salinas.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank staff for all of the work, and I know you guys have been working on this for all of the reasons that have been stated up here. I know our pension liabilities, and that's a growing or I should say it is a looming issue over us every year, and we're getting better, and we're getting there, so to speak. And it goes without saying, and I have to agree with the comment that's been made up here. We would not be in the situation we are in today if it weren't for our labor groups. Historically, I mean, I know for as long as I've been up here, our not only our labor groups, but our management, our senior management, have also have done their part. And so, anyways, I wanted to just take this opportunity to thank the organization as a whole, and of course, thank you, Mr. Clausen, for your work, your expertise, and of course your skill on this budget. I know the city manager, your work too has been critical, and I know you have a great team, and you've been able to get this done for us. In terms of the positions, as I was looking at this, I thought I had to go back and think about what we talked about, and just walking in here today, I thought, the 4 positions, I want to do this with caution, of course, but, I think most of the email I get, and most of the, trash talk, so to speak, on social media and so forth, deals with trash, right? Deals with, public appearance. And to be, there are a lot of people drive through our city, a lot of people go through our city, whether it's on BART, bus, car, bike or whatever. Having clean streets is a big deal. Goes without saying that I'm going to support this with the 4 positions. The 2 hotspot areas, right? The South Hayward Corridor and the Jackson Triangle. I drive through there, daily, and they are hotspots. And I think the neighborhood deserves, quick and responsive services like what we have been doing in the past. And this will just make it enhance the work that we've been doing in this area. So I will be very proud to be voting yes on this budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Zermania.
Just a quick note on the budget itself for next year. It shows a negative 3.473. So we also need to ensure that we plan well for next year so we can get rid of that red. So that's also on us and on staff. Make sure that we all work together towards that particular goal. Thank you again.
Okay. With that, thank you all, and I want to add my thanks to everybody in the organization who has stepped up over the last several years to negotiate contracts that, allowed us to get to this point of being balanced with a staff that hopefully is adequate to meet the service needs that we have in this city without having to lay off a bunch of people. So it really was our employees. And, I just give a lot of credit to the city manager and the finance director and the entire finance department that really worked to create this budget. And I also want to thank my colleagues on the Council Budget and Finance Committee, and that would be Councilmember Lamnon, and last year, Councilmember Salinas, and since January, Councilmember Wahab, for, we go over this and give advice. And I think one of the things we've really been looking at seriously is our financial policies, and we're constantly reaffirming and revising, and that those policies, a discipline and looking at, extra money that we have, where we know there are a lot of things we would love to spend it on, but we're sticking to policies that put that money in places such as Councilmember Mendel mentioned, unfunded liabilities that will, in the long run, give us more money, give us, higher spending power, and help us avoid future deficit budgets. So with that, and seeing no one else wanting to speak, I know there is an open question. I'm wondering if we need to discuss that anymore, or if there are people who... Okay, so I will call for the motion that was made by Councilmember Zermania and seconded by Councilmember Marquez. Yes. And with, it includes the 4 maintenance positions. It includes... Yes, an additional 4,000 to...
But we don't... So as the finance director said, that was taken care of with last week's vote, so we don't need to include the additional 4,000.
We don't need to have it as an amendment?
Right.
Was there some, and as well as the 100,000 social...
Did not.
And not included.
We did not include it, and that doesn't need to be an amendment. So there weren't any amendments then? Okay. This clarification that it's for maintenance workers. Okay, with that, I'll call for the vote. And the motion passes with 7 aye votes. And that concludes our budget discussions for this year, but we'll be starting up at the Budget committee, next budget committee on next year's budget, probably. So never ends for the finance department. With that, we're going to move on to city manager comments.
Just one quick comment. This Thursday evening from 6 to 9 p.m., our police department will be hosting Tip-A-Cop at Applebee's to raise money for the Special Olympics. So just wanted to encourage folks to, if they're choosing to eat out for dinner on Thursday evening, that they would go to Applebee's and help support the Special Olympics.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to council reports and announcements. Okay, council members Armenio.
I don't know if you know out there, but this Saturday you can run into all of us at Southgate Community Center, as most of us will go out there and clean and green our fine city. So with the task force of Clean and Green. This Saturday, 8:30 at Southgate Community, right next to the doggy park. Hope to see you there.
All right, anyone else on reports or announcements? I think I will announce that I want to thank the City Council for their review of and recommendations on on candidates to be interviewed by the new Community Police Relations Committee that we are forming, and we are in the process of doing those interviews. We interviewed a number of people on Saturday and again last evening, and we have additional interviews coming up on May 24th and May 29th, and after that so the interviews are being conducted by the city manager, Chief Kohler, Captain Matthews, and me, and you all did a great job because, we had, I think, over 80 applications, and we're interviewing about 25 people, and the people we have seen have been really great, and it's going to be very hard to choose the committee, I think. But I just want to thank everybody who stepped up, and I want to thank the council for the recommendations. And with that, we're going to move on to council referrals, and we do have two this evening. So the first one is item number 11 on our agenda. That is consider an item for discussion on a future city council agenda regarding the provision of housing development incentives. And I'll ask, and this is from Councilmember Wahab, so I'll ask her if she wants to say anything.
I just want to make sure that, primarily the goal of this, and after a lot of discussion and back and forth, is to provide to stimulate development as a whole. I think it's self-explanatory in the memo, so that's it.
Is there anyone else who would like to, from the council? Does anyone have any questions, I guess? This is new, so I'm going to move through this. Questions from council. Council members Armenio?
And this is to staff. Do we do some of this material already, incentives for developers and stuff?
We have done very minimal incentives for mostly commercial or retail development. There's been a couple developments in the downtown where we've, based on sales tax generation, the council has basically either kind of deferred or waived some of the requirements or some things like that. But it has never been applied to housing development, as far as I know in my history with the city.
Parking fees or et cetera, that doesn't happen?
No, the only program that we do have is for sewer and water connection fees. We have a repayment plan, so people can defer payment of those, and that's actually eligible for any development, so it's residential or non-residential, and that allows people to basically pay their sewer and water connection fees over time versus all up front.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question to staff. On June 18th, the replacement of our rent stabilization ordinance is coming back to this body to adopt. Presuming, since we've been working on this for so long.
Correct, that is the current timeline, yes.
Going to be, I don't want to I'll reserve that comment, but hypothetically, if it were to be approved, that is going to be very demanding on staff in terms of the implementation, the communication. So I guess my question is, on the memo, it says to bring this back in 90 days. Is that even realistic, looking at if we move forward with updating the rent stabilization order? I'm just looking at staff time and the demands, because we're basically asking the same team of people to work on this. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I think it will be challenging. It depends. I think, if we just did a very cursory kind of maybe some empathy interviews with some developers to see if this would even be acceptable or would help them, we could do some of that work. In terms of developing a full-scale program, I don't know but I think we could at least return with some discussion of feasibility or whether it seems like it might make some sense.
Okay, so I would be comfortable supporting it. I just think realistically, my priority is the rent stabilization ordinance and getting that information out to the public, tenants and landlords fully understanding that. So I'm in support of this. I would just prefer that we table this staff's time and energy on it until the fall. I think, in my opinion, that's more realistic.
And that's fine. I mean, obviously, if that's what the council, if that would be great for the staff team, I think. Obviously, more time is better than less time, so we would.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Salinas.
Yeah, I guess the question I have is, I know we have done incentive type of work in the past for commercial stuff, so I guess my question is, what are some of the, how can I put it? How might formalizing an incentive program like this, how might it either stifle staff or restrict staff from being creative from project to project? Not one project is the same, and so I'm just curious how this might impact staff's ability to be flexible and creative in delivering developments.
I think obviously not having a restrictive set of standards or guidelines allows more flexibility. The challenge with that is we would have to come back to the council for each individual project to discuss and for approval if there were some general guidelines, although again, not every project has the same need. So it's a trade-off. It's having some standards or some guidelines we think might work for most people versus having to come back to council each time for approval of any sort of incentive. And so it's hard to know because I don't know how many developers would actually take advantage of this type of standardized program.
Do other cities do this?
I am not aware of a city that does this. I think cities are starting to talk about it. It's definitely part of the conversation around the CASA Compact and some of the incentives in that. And so I think there's definitely discussion happening around this type of program. In the cities that I have been in, typically housing has not been a challenge to build so far. I think this is a new thing that we're seeing in the last couple of years, given construction cost increases. So.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I have a very similar concern, and the concern is the amount of staff work that we're sort of moving in a direction of. The Housing and the Homelessness Committee. Staff is doing an incredible amount of work in a very short period of time. And so my concern is, we're putting, another task on them, and this is no, small task. And, so anyways, I guess my point is that, if council is going to go along and have and put this on staff, I want to have enough, lead time, and if the fall is plenty of time. I mean, it's, I don't mind doing it in the fall, but, like what was said up here, my main concern is to make sure, we have housing and we have the navigation center that we have to get off the ground. And I really want to make sure that those two items are done successfully. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wahab, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments. I completely understand some of the concerns. I do want to say that this was specifically written with staff in mind and staff communication, and it provides a lot of flexibility specifically to staff to see what they believe is the most beneficial. A consistent complaint we have heard, besides the fact that, housing, especially from the renter side, is, supply and demand. And we've approved some projects without any real development happening. And in my conversations, this is new. This has not really been done. This is something that is innovative and very much pushing along to see what type of solutions we can have for our local problems. I've had conversations both with Miss Morales, Ott, and McAdoo. And this was something that out of the many conversations that they said that would be good to push. The 3 months was flexible. We are actually pushing the rent stabilization ordinance and adoption 1 month later to educate stakeholders, so I don't think that it should conflict too much with this. Also, it was under my impression and my understanding, based on staff comments, that finance would actually have more of a hand in this as well. So it's not necessarily housing, the housing team that's really tackling this, if you will. So I considered all of those considerations that you guys have brought forth, and I appreciate that. And that is why, I took some time with this and tried to assume and assess what questions you guys would potentially bring forth. So I actually would prefer this as is because of the many conversations we had. And it wouldn't necessarily affect the rent stabilization piece nor the navigation center and things like that. So those are my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lamnon.
Just wanted to quickly confirm with staff, on our tentative agenda, we currently have an item scheduled potentially for early July about evaluating what the obstacles are to creating affordable housing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that may be the place to discuss this. I was also going to suggest the newly established housing committee that you do serve on. And, I think it's an idea that's been out there for a while. We do provide incentives for affordable housing, maybe not in the form of tax relief like you're talking about, but we have worked extensively. I think, we just presented a resolution to Eden Housing, and you heard, Linda Mandolini talk about our long partnership. I think it is best approach on an individual process. So and I share other council members' worries. We have embarked on a lot of activity in connection with the rental housing program that staff has been working on, but also the navigation center is a high priority to get that open and running, and there are other housing initiatives out there. So I would suggest that perhaps once we can get some of those other things really behind us, that the housing committee might want to have this to start this off with a discussion of the types of things that we might want to consider as a council, and that it start there rather than approving this in the form it is in tonight. But with that, I think, and Councilmember Wahab again? Yes.
Yeah, and I do want to say that this is specifically for all types of housing, not necessarily just low and affordable. It's everything that we're trying to do, and it does give the incentive. Specifically, that the way that we discussed this was to be a case-by-case basis for staff to decide what would incentivize that particular project to hit the ground running, if you will. So that was the main concern. I'm happy to review this in the task force, and obviously that's an appropriate venue. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. And Councilmember Salinas.
Yeah, I was also, just given the nature of the the topic, I mean, wouldn't, development services also weigh in on this? Economic development? I mean,
They would, yes. We'll have if the council chooses to move forward with this, we will have a staff team that will include finance, development services, economic development, and housing staff.
And then what committee, I mean, I know we're talking housing committee, but what committee, what would be, sort of the most appropriate committee to hear this? Would it be economic development or finance?
I'd say probably budget and finance, simply because it would have an impact. If it is a tax exemption or deferral program, it could potentially have an impact on general fund resources. So I think there or the housing task force would probably be the most appropriate, those two. Economic development kind of tertiary, but those first two.
Okay. So I don't know what's next.
So I think that we are actually going to now vote on the...
Public.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Well, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to close the public hearing. Sorry. So now, and anyone on the council want to add any comments? I think we are basically voting on the referral as it is written right now, I've heard. But I don't, I don't know how people are going to vote. I'm not going to support the referral as it is written right now, but you've heard the comments of everybody that it's an idea worth perhaps pursuing in the future. I think I would have more to say about it, except that this isn't the place to discuss the actual matter. So I think...
I'll call the question. If you don't
Yes,
mind the
okay.
interruption.
So call the question on whether there are 4 votes. The question is called on whether there are 4 votes to send this to staff to bring back to council in the way it is written right now. And so I will call for the vote. I don't think we actually, do we need a motion and a second on that?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so council member.
No.
New policy again. Did we do that in the last?
We have been doing that for the last referrals that we've had.
There should be a vote, but there doesn't need to be a motion per se. I mean, the motion is in the referral. I mean, that's the motion. Councilmember Wahab has made it as a referral.
Yeah, I would say Councilmember Wahab has made this as a motion.
Can we just vote?
Yeah, and I will, for the purpose of moving along, if we need this for the city manager. Second, moving it on to a vote.
Yes, Mayor. And just to clarify, the referral is to direct staff. And this is not going to the Budget and Finance Committee, but it's referring
No,
to...
it's what's in the actual referral.
Okay, thank you.
This is, so this is a new policy, and I think we're trying to work with it. It is more formal maybe than what we used to do, and I think what we're saying tonight is, as it's written, we're a little wary of that, but we are.
This call needs to be voted on unless.
Well, we needed to know whether we needed a motion, and so I'm a little confused because in seconding it, it doesn't mean that I'm supporting the referral. So I'm just supporting having it voted on.
Can we just have the screen vote? No, because...
All right, let's try that. Let's vote. Yes.
I know the question was called, but just to try and get this process a little clearer and cleaner. So I'm fine that the referral is a motion. Can we say whether or not it has a second, and then we could vote on it? Because as it's currently written, there is only one person on it, so it's a motion, it's not a second. So to call the question on the vote, I'm not sure what we're voting on.
Yeah, the city attorney and I are just discussing, it doesn't need a second. This is
It doesn't need a second. All right.
It's to direct staff. So, the policy is if 4 members support the referral to staff, we will spend time and resources on it.
And that's consistent with how our old policy is somewhat. So we will now vote on this referral.
And just to clarify, it'd probably be best not to use the system because in order to trigger the vote, I need a first and a second.
Okay. Again, technology is dictating how we do things. So yes, you want to do a roll call?
Just do the second. Wasn't the whole point of this referral process too to capture it on video and have a vote?
Yes.
So let's just do a second. If you do the second, that doesn't mean that you're a guaranteed yes. You have the right to still vote in opposition of this. You're just saying second to move it along.
That would be correct, wouldn't it?
Right? Yes.
All right. Then for the purpose of moving it along to the vote, as I said earlier, I will second the motion and we will do our regular electronic vote.
Thank you. No.
And we have 2 yes votes and 5 no votes. So we will not be moving along. However, Councilmember Wahab, I do appreciate your, offering it as a suggestion, and I think that discussion can occur as we move through the year. And I think the Housing Committee is a good place, or Housing Task Force, sorry, is a good place to do that. All right, now we're moving on to item number 12, which is also a referral from Councilmember Wahab, and this is to consider an item for discussion on a future City Council agenda regarding a Hayward 4th of July morning diversity parade and evening fireworks show. Councilmember Wahab, would you like to speak on that?
And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to provide any more info than the memo.
Yeah, it's loose. You don't have to.
Yeah, I thought the memos are pretty clear.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer where I can.
Anyone have questions or comments? Councilmember Salinas?
So when the community, whatever, I always forget the name of the community, the Community Benefits Foundation.
All American Festival.
The foundation that's being created.
Okay.
The Hayward Community Foundation?
The Hayward Community Foundation. When that is established and when, it comes along, would projects like these go under that umbrella, perhaps?
You could create
if a group of nonprofits wanted to come together. And
you could create a fund to raise money for a 4th of July event. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and when is the proposed start date to that foundation?
We are working on bringing some guidelines and criteria back to the council, hopefully in June. You did approve the agreement with the East Bay Community Foundation, and now we're just trying to work on, especially with the cannabis providers, what the appropriate sort of blanket allocation would be. So we're trying to put some proposals together to bring back to the. In terms of the initial allocation and how that would work moving forward.
Yeah. And when I saw the fireworks show, I know we've had a policy where we have prohibited fireworks in the city of Hayward. Are there any exceptional laws that are passed to allow different kinds of fireworks, or firework is a firework is a firework?
I think that would be something we'd have to look at, whether our current rules would have to be amended. So that would be part of the staff time we would look at.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I am unsure about this, and for me, I'd like to perhaps see this under the new community foundation if it gets there, or when it gets established, and just so that I don't want to sound like I'm anti 4th of July. I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm anti fireworks. I'm not. But it just this is something that I think perhaps the Hayward Community Foundation can take on, and so anyways, I'm curious to see what others think about this, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be supporting this.
Okay, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. If this moves forward tonight, I don't think I've seen this included, so I wanted to ask, would staff be looking at what surrounding cities do in terms of, like, what is the budget? And my understanding is most of these fireworks shows, not necessarily the parade, but the show, in my opinion, is going to be the heaviest expense. They typically have sponsors that foot the bill.
Yeah,
so
that
would
would
this
be-
include all of that kind of research?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilmember Zermania?
Well, see, I love to see fireworks, but I did speak with the our fire chief, and he says, well, it can be done safely. However, I am a member of the Sustainability Committee. I am green in the inside, and I have to be against polluting the air. It's done in San Jose, it's done in San Francisco, and I think that's enough polluting for the Bay Area, personally. So I'm not in favor of that. Also, the Tennyson Community Committee has been doing a 4th of July festival for the last 6 years. So if it does go through, if it does pass, then they need to be contacted about this. But I'll support this if it does not include fireworks. Thank you.
Councilmember Wahab?
I do want to state that I have chatted with Supervisor Richard Valle, as the All-American Festival has been referenced here by a couple folks. He is actually very open to partnerships on this. So currently the All-American Festival is in late June, not on July 4th. So I just want to make that clarity.
Okay. Well, I was going to point out that, yes, we do have the All-American Festival, and thank you very much, Councilmember Zermania, for originating that. It has grown over the years. It has changed and gotten better and better attended, has a better place than it started out in, I think. Councilmembers Marquez and Lamnon have both worked really hard on that. And traditionally, celebrations in Hayward on the 4th of July have come from the community. For a long time, the Lions Club did picnics at Weeks Park. I think the reason for moving it off the 4th of July and onto the Saturday before is that probably more people come out on the weekend. And the 4th of July is a difficult day for our city staff. They have a lot on their hands with controlling the illegal fireworks. And I do appreciate that you think it might reduce those, but I wouldn't bet on it. I mean, people like to do their fireworks, and they do it all over the city. And the next day, you haven't actually been on the council since we have had a 4th of July. And believe me, you will see that people start emailing you, that night usually, or that day, even before the 4th, to say, please do something to reduce this. And furthermore, these celebrations should come from the community, and the All-American Festival did. I would really urge you to check that out this year if you hadn't heard about that. Once again, I think it was a nice idea, and I think that it's something maybe we should talk to other people in the community. But the city of Hayward can't finance it. I don't think the city staff should, be directing it, and I think it should be done in connection with the people who have organized the All-American Festival and say, do we want to change this? Some evolving things. And there could be a discussion of adding fireworks. I think we have some reservations here on the council about that, but I don't see having this be the subject of an actual council meeting. I think it's a community thing, and my idea though was perhaps to offer it as a suggested small discussion item for the local agencies committee. Local agencies committee, that is, yeah. Council members Lamnon and I serve on that, and Marquez, and perhaps, and it's in conjunction with the Hayward Area Recreation District and the school district to see what their thoughts are on doing a joint community event around the 4th. But the 4th is problematic because our public safety personnel are very stressed and stretched that day. Maybe not stressed, they don't get stressed, but they get stretched. And also it is a city holiday, so any staff involvement would involve a lot of overtime. I think the costs, given our budget. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and thank you for offering that. And with that, in this motion being made by Councilmember Wahab, and I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone who would like to comment on this item. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. And the motion would be by Councilmember Wahab. I will once again second it to move it forward in the system, and we'll vote. And the motion fails by a vote of 6 noes and 1 in favor. And with that, we're going to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor and memory of a former city firefighter, Edmund Lewis Frank Jr., known as Ed. He died on May 12th at the age of 82. At age 25, he was hired as a firefighter by the Hayward Fire Department and stayed with them for 29 years. And in fact, in 1970, he became Hayward's first firefighter of the year. He retired in 1991 as a battalion chief with the assignment of being the fire marshal. And his wife, Nancy, was also a city employee, I understand, and passed away a few years ago. So we offer our condolences to his daughter and son, Jennifer Engstrom and James Frank, and for his stepchildren, and also to his colleagues and friends on the current and former members of the Hayward Fire Department. A celebration of Ed's life will be held at Mountain Christian Fellowship on Saturday, June 8th at 11 a.m. This is in Murphys, California. So I would ask the city staff to work with his family and probably maybe our fire department to plant a tree somewhere in the city in firefighter Frank's honor. And so with that, in memory of and until our next meeting a week from tonight on May 28th, in honor and memory of Edmund Lewis Frank Jr., this meeting is adjourned.